Good morning. My name's Sean Hewitt from the Trusted Business Community Association, and today I'm joined by Cornelia Starke from Elevated Minds, Transform to Perform, and this business is a superb organisation that's helping and empowering business professionals, mainly women, to find a great opportunity to move forward without without the load that they've found on themselves, and that's been building up over time. So clearing the path ahead, clearing the way forward to really drive not just their professional, but their personal environments as well in the right direction. Cornelia, welcome to the YouTube interview.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me, and thank you for this wonderful opportunity.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm really grateful for it.
Oh, fantastic. And we're grateful to have you. Cornelia, obviously, just for those listening in, Cornelia is a premier partner with us here at the association, which means she is one of the go-to businesses in her expertise and her field. She supports not just the community as a trusted organisation and all those members around the association, but she also supports people from way outside the association and way outside that circle of trust. Cornelia, you've had an amazing journey to get to where you are. So perhaps if we sort of just start at almost at the beginning, but give us a little bit of a backdrop as to what you've done and what's brought you up to today. Then we'll talk about more detail. We'll talk about obviously Elevated Minds. Floor's yours.
Right. Okay, my journey. How long have you got, really?
About 15, 20 minutes.
I will keep it as short as possible, right? But I've got to go back to my childhood. And as a child, I always wanted to be a teacher. And I just found it fascinating. And that dream came true. And I became a teacher, and I then taught. I'm originally from Germany, so I taught in Germany for 10 years and then another 20 years here in the UK. So, and then unfortunately, in 2019, I had to come out of the profession due to burnout. However, I didn't know it at the time, to be honest. Then my real journey started. And I loved being a teacher. It was a calling for me. It wasn't just a job, it was me in its essence, right? And I was able to show authenticity with my students. And also as a leader, I was head of department, and I was the professional mentor for teacher training around the school. And I always showed up as me. So, in other words, if I didn't know something, I would say, well, I don't know this, but I tell you what, one piece of wisdom I can give you is you don't need to know everything, you just need to know where to find the answers. So, this is the kind of person I am. I don't have an issue with not knowing something. Where some people would say, oh, I don't know this. Oh my God, I'd like to hide under the desk. No, not me. So, and then in 2019, my big dream came to an end, which caused a huge soul shock. So the burnout wasn't just feeling exhausted, the burnout shattered my soul. And my soul was in 1 million pieces. And I didn't know where to start, I didn't know what to do. And I had days where literally making a cup of coffee was a mammoth task for me. I didn't know getting up and filling the kettle with water or filling the coffee machine with coffee. It was a huge task for me. So anyway, I started the recovering process. And I became a hypnotherapist, rapid transformational therapy, with Marissa Peer. And I became a hypnotherapist in 2020. And that is really when I discovered all my limiting beliefs I had about myself. I then went on to ego state therapy. I studied so much, as in the mind, neuropsychology, psychology of success. I studied the philosophy of Stoicism. I studied emotional intelligence, you name it, whatever is important for human behavior, I studied, but also to rewire the subconscious mind and making the unconscious conscious. And this is really where elevated minds came from my subconscious as the business name. So, because I'm an educator in my heart, therefore you see in elevated minds the capital E and D, which stands for education, because I stand for understand yourself. And now, because I have always shown up authentically, and I was strong at leadership. Well, as a teacher, you are a leader in the classroom, but also middle management, and then becoming the professional mentor for teacher training, which was at a higher level then, made me think, right, it is actually, I'm all about authentic leadership. And it's becoming healthy in your emotions, because a lot of us have actually unhealthy emotions, and we are masters in self-sabotaging ourselves. So I also then discovered spirituality, and I think the spirituality started before the burnout happened. And now I understand that the spiritual awakening happened because my body was under so much stress that it couldn't take anymore. And it found refuge, so to speak, in the subconscious. And the subconscious is connected to the spiritual world because it's all energy. Emotions are energy, and energy is connected to the universe. So I now understand this all, and I can say now, when I have too much stress in my life, I go straight into my subconscious, and it's almost like an alarm system now, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing to have, really, because the minute you are under too much pressure, you say, not for me, thank you very much. So that is really me in a nutshell, so to speak. Is that a
So
nutshell?
within the journey, I mean, I know obviously we've spoke about this anyway, but for those listening in, within the journey, you almost really went back to the learning for yourself, didn't you? You've gone through so much, obviously, in learning new skills, and also got certifications for those skills as well, as you've gone
Yes.
through them.
Yes.
So you almost sort of the teacher became the student, I suppose.
That's right.
To regather your future path of the future of where you wanted to move to from the teaching itself. And I know teaching played a massive part in your life. And I know from when we spoke before, as well as obviously you speaking just then, although it was very traumatic to actually leave something that you loved so much, you've been able to regroup and re-strengthen through the things that you've learned, through the teachings that you've taken on board, and now you're moving into a direction where you're going almost back into the teaching mode, but more as a
Yes.
Yes. A coach or a mentor to women in business,
Yeah.
and maybe women. I know you will work with men, and I know you do, but I know your focus is the women empowerment aspect in business and in personal life.
That's right. And you mentioned something important, really, going back to learning. And about 7 years prior to burnout, what came to me was, do you know, Connie, actually, you do fancy another university study. I wanted to study something. And it just shows you how powerful thoughts are. I didn't know at the time that it would come true, and I didn't know. I mean, I didn't go back to university as such as we know it, but the studies I've done is definitely an equal of a university degree, that's for sure.
Mhm.
So, yes, you do have to go back to education. And I did become a student again, and now the student is ready to become the teacher again. And this time, though, it is the full embodiment of the teacher, of that persona, of that
Mhm.
personality, rather than seeing it as a cardboard cutout, as it happened before, although I was my authentic self, but still I thought, oh, I'm just making this all up, you know.
Mhm.
But through my journey, I then actually discovered, oh my goodness me, the teacher is actually me. But when you have a belief that you are a failure, right, and that was deeply, 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 deeply rooted in me, um, you then become aware of, oh my God, that the failure was actually the kind of unconscious reality for me. But the teacher was the dream persona, and I created that persona as a child, right? So then it came to burnout, and along my journey, I then discovered, oh my God, the teacher is actually me.
Mhm.
And through that, I work with different tools as well as not just hypnotherapy. I discovered shadow work. Shadow work is absolutely crucial, right? Because that's where we find the gold, really. And
Mhm.
what I was able to do as a teacher, I turned the shadow into the gold, but I was so unaware of it. Now I embody the teacher, the personality, the persona, but wholeheartedly. And this is in line with when we look at astrology, because it comes into it, and I do work a lot with North Node and South Node. I can see that my North Node is actually my soul mission. And that is combining the North Node with the South Node, which in my case is combining the masculine energy with the feminine energy, because my South Node is the feminine energy, right? And the North Node is the masculine energy. And what I did as a teacher using emotional intelligence, I was able to combine this. So I could be the nurturer when I needed to be, but I also had to be assertive when I had to be, right?
Yep.
Because my job was to teach, meaning you can only teach if you follow your values. You can only live a peaceful life if you follow your values. And that is where authenticity comes in. And many people, Sean, they do not know their values. And if they know them, they don't live them. Why? Because they're afraid of losing people around them, right?
So let's look at now. I know obviously you're working with clients without mentioning names. Could you give us an example of how you've helped or to achieve this transformation through the elevated minds? Give me an example of somebody you've worked with. I say no names mentioned, just an example of how that transformation process has worked for a particular client of yours.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, now here I always start with the human design, and I must say I am not a quick fix, because a transformation is all about an identity change, but it's individual. Now, if people want a quick fix, I am not for them, right? And I make that absolutely clear. I am not a one night stand, right? I am actually something lasting, right? And I use hypnosis in discovering limiting beliefs. I use the human design. That is my first point. The second point, we look at values, we identify values. And we look at where do you live those values in your life. So someone might have a value of organization, but puts up with chaos. So that means, well, you know your value, but you don't live it. So that means you're living out of alignment. You're not living your authentic self, right?
Yeah.
So what stops you from being organized? Okay. And we have this discussion around, I'd use ego state intervention. I'm able, because I'm an empath, I feel emotions. So that means when I go into people's energy field, I can see, I can feel what's going on. And from there, and of course, I communicate this to them.
Yeah.
And from there, we then move on. And I've helped many people. I mean, it is a process, right? It's not done overnight. It takes months and months and months, but it is done very thoroughly. And this is where the high quality comes in, really. And if you
So
want to live from your authentic self, you've got to do the work.
yeah.
Otherwise,
And it's the work that one needs to do themselves as well. But you're there as the guide and
absolutely.
you're there
Yeah,
as their
yeah,
support
yeah,
to help them through the process. And
yeah.
do you know what I
And can I just mention
can?
something else? So for me, I'm not taking anybody on because also I am someone who says, right, convince me that you are actually committed to this journey
Yeah,
because my reputation is at stake here.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Because if someone isn't committed to the journey and they only like the idea of it, they can destroy your reputation. And I now say, and I use emotional intelligence for that because that's my confidence, where I say, well, convince me if you actually are committed to this journey.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And do you know what? Similar values for the association, as we the reputation of the badge of trust, the reputation of the trait, the mark that brings, that rubber stamp. We could, if we don't take everybody. We have an onboarding process. We get to know them. We then
Yeah.
bring them through, and they, again, a business coming into our organisation like yourself, goes through the process of being onboarded, and we need to understand that those businesses that form the Trusted Business Community Association, those business owners need to also understand its value, and the fact that the value that we bring to businesses like yourselves, um, is very much being monitored, because if they're not on the journey for the long term, then it's unlikely, that if they don't see the benefit of that long term investment in themselves as a business, then it's probably not for them. To be fair, so
Yeah, 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 yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
totally with you on
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely 100% behind the fact that we it's not everybody, and it maybe not be for everyone, as it's not for everybody with us. But for those that are wanting to show commitment, long-term commitment to the drive and their business growth, yeah, we could be the answer. And same goes for you. Your principles
yeah.
are in place, and so are ours. And I'm right behind that thought process, Cornelia, because it's vital for, like you said, it's your reputation on the line.
Yeah,
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 absolutely. And you want to be able to help, but you can only
absolutely,
help somebody who wants to be helped.
absolutely,
If they don't
absolutely.
really see the value or the long-term journey value, then of course you may not well be for them. You're not a sticky plaster that's going to paper over the
No,
crack.
no.
You're there for the
In
long term.
yeah, in fact, what I do is I rip off the plaster,
Yeah,
right? That's what I do. And yes, it is ouch, and it's got to be ouch, because if it's not ouch, we're not going to do anything about it, right?
no,
And we wouldn't appreciate the journey either. The same as I experienced. Was it very painful in places? Oh my goodness me, yes, very,
yeah,
right? But it had to be because otherwise I wouldn't have appreciated. Now I can say, well, I walk this path, right? So I'm with you. I know how you feel.
Yeah.
But I also know that no one can minimize me, humiliate me ever again, because I know how painful the journey was. I know what I have achieved for myself. And
Yeah.
no one is going to take that away. And there is not even a glimpse of doubt where I say, oh, well, was it just your imagination? No, it wasn't. It was reality, you know.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
Cornelia, I mean, obviously people are listening in and they've heard a little bit about you, so I'm sure they're going to want to know more. Whereabouts can people find you, Cornelia? Where do you hang out on socials, etc.?
Yeah, I hang out mainly on YouTube now these days. I personally I love making those videos and upload them, so people can follow me there under Elevated Minds 1414, right? Or just type in Elevated Minds Transform to Perform and I will come up. I have a website which is displayed www elevated-minds.co.uk. You can email me, Connie at elevated-minds.co.uk. You can find me on LinkedIn under Cornelia Starke. You can find me in the Trusted Community Business Directory. Thanks to you, Sean. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook as well. So yes, lots of opportunities, but I think the safest bet probably would be YouTube
Yeah,
and
no,
LinkedIn.
absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Cornelia, I've thoroughly enjoyed having a chat with you this morning. It's been absolutely wonderful, and I'm looking forward to obviously seeing all those hits on our YouTube channel. And when obviously, I'm sure you're going to share this on your YouTube channel as well. And I'm looking
Yeah, of
forward to
course.
seeing you get
Yeah.
more people come to you. So, for anybody who's looking for a premier service in your road and journey to be a better you, Cornelia Starke, Elevated Minds. She's the lady to go and speak to. Find out more for her by looking out on LinkedIn, Facebook, obviously YouTube channel is her home, and make sure that you get in touch. Cornelia, thank you
May
so
I
much for being part of
may
this.
I may I share one last final quote?
Of
It's
course,
my
one last
favorite one.
word of wisdom.
Yes, yes, it is wisdom. I always use it in the classroom with my students. And it is to relax, you need to feel confident. To feel confident, you need to know what you're doing.
There you go. You heard it here first. Thank you very much, Cornelia. Great to
Thank you
have you
for
with me.
having me. Thank you.